Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 553 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous: Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together, as well as college students together. Fun fact, my favorite movie series of all time has to be James Bond. There's nothing better than 007. And, when I start thinking about spies and that whole world, I tell you what, we have a spy on our program today. So I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that, just because, James Bond, there's just nobody cooler. So let's talk about our next guest. Dr. Dianne Olvera has worked as an international diplomat, yes, a spy, an educator, professor, a brain researcher, and a clinician for over 4 decades. Her doctoral degrees in bilingual special education, language, and cultural differences are based on research and practice highlighting language's power. These proven and effective strategies transform the lives of everyone who uses them. She is the author of Ask, Don't Tell: 6 Easy Steps to Improving Communication, Self-Control, and Interpersonal Relationships. Her upcoming book, it's called The Power of Connection: Understanding Individual Differences to Uplift and Empower. That's going to be out this spring. So welcome to the show, Dr. Dianne Olvera.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I am doing well. It's great to have you on the show. I am just completely fascinated by your background, and we have some really cool questions to ask. Of course, you went to the University of Arizona, and I'm just wondering what made you select the University of Arizona for your educational journey?
Well, when we completed our job as diplomats in Mexico, my husband, I had been out of the country for almost a decade. So my husband had went to the University of Arizona to get his aeronautical engineering degree. So there we were. Yeah, and it was funny because he said, well, both of us, we should both go back and see what would be available for us. And he came back and he said, well, yeah, I had some nice talks with some of the professors. And I said, yeah, I got a full ride for my master's and they're actually going to pay me to go to school. And then I just continued on and got one doctorate, and then I just went out and got another one. I said, why not? I actually did it to fight for kids that were culturally different. And it worked. It really does work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the problems is that they just don't understand cultural nuances and they take it as a learning disability or inadequacy. Yeah. Which luckily I could go before the board with the doctor and say, nope, you got to fix that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, right place, right time, and of course the price was right. So certainly I understand
Yeah.
all of those pieces.
Wait,
That's also why I decided to go and get the master's degree and the doctorate degree. Sometimes the schools just make it very easy for you to say yes. And certainly, both of us have done that and successfully graduated and defended. So that's always a good thing. Now,
that is
you
one
are,
thing. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that is one thing that when you are talking to college students, to please tell them at any phase in their career and in their education, to please go in to student support and just put in for whatever. I mean, one girl got one just because her parents were divorced,
Yeah.
and they paid her money every month to be able to go to school.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of scholarships out there. Absolutely. Go to that Office of Financial Aid and look for scholarships and try to find ways to get that all paid for. And sometimes you have something that is of worth to the university
Yes.
So for me, I was going out and teaching high school students on behalf of the university, telling them about the great university we had down the road that they could actually go to school for free at. And this is how you can do it.
Yeah.
So, you never really know how you can find that synergy where you can work with an institution so that way you get the education that you want and they get maybe additional students or additional visibility. So, all of those things I think are on the table. Now, you are a communications expert. You worked as an international diplomat, spy, educator, professor, brain researcher. I mean, all of these, different lives. And the spy part obviously has me very interested. So, what was that spy part about? And what can you teach us about connection that only a spy would know?
Actually, it's how you use your eyes, how you use your words, and you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful, especially being a woman. There are some groups where we're not supposed to be alone with them. And when you are in a place where there are many people, they're always going to try to get you alone, because they think they can get more information from you, or to use their charm to enhance the situation.
Mhm, mhm. That's so fascinating. Really interesting insight for sure. Now, Mother's Day is right around the corner. It's coming in a couple of months. So that's a hint to all of our listeners out there to go out and get your mom something really nice for Mother's Day. So when that happens, usually we sit around the dinner table and maybe we have a meal together. How can the students improve the family interaction around that table?
You really want to blow them away with just one little thing.
Yeah.
Look at them. Look at them. When they say something to you, literally, you know, no meanness, nothing, just a natural glance, and you look at them. And then they talk. And then if they're saying something that is uncomfortable, you lower your eyes and you say, I would love to have this be a nice time together, Mom or Dad or both. And then you raise them. Can we do that today? Thanks. And that's it. And on you go. You
Mm.
don't have to lament and you don't have to go into this long dialogue. I think less said, the more impact you have.
So interesting. I mean, there's all kinds of, conflicts that happen within families. I think about politics right now. It's just all over the map. I mean, there's so many things that could derail a family conversation around a dinner table. But I think you offer some really good practical advice about how we can all get along and make it a great interaction. And please get off the phones too. I mean, just
Yeah.
looking at other people and being present instead of being distracted on your phone. I mean, that just goes so far. And that's the one trap that I think so many families that I see that I'm around they fall into is everybody's on their phone and then there's no interaction, there's no communication, there's nothing happening, which is just so sad to me in terms of connection.
Yeah.
So, all right, really good. So, you're the author of Ask, Don't Tell. It's 6 easy steps to improving communication, self-control, and interpersonal relationships. I know all the college students who are listening right now, they all want to improve their relationships. I mean, that could be the relationships with their boyfriend or girlfriend, that could be relationships with their professor, who knows? So, what are some speech patterns that you feel can make or break a relationship?
Right. It's a pattern that actually starts out as a joke. And at first it's funny, like, oh man, you're so stupid. Oh, you're gonna wear those stupid shoes again? All right. And then if you're around a bunch of the guys or a bunch of girls, then everybody seems to pick up on your speech pattern. Oh, yeah. And you remember that shirt you wore the other day? Well, that may be one day in time. But what happens is when you permit those negative speech patterns to deteriorate the relationship, you don't realize it until you break up. And then you look back and you go, what in the world happened to me? And then now that you know that speech patterns, negative and positive, could be the detriment of your relationship, then you flip them around. No, man, I'm not going to go there anymore.
Mm.
We're going to be positive with each other. We got to pick each other up. The world is just kind of a pain out there, but in here, we're going to be friends and we're going to be buddies and we're going to help each other.
Mhm.
So pick each other up. Next time you don't like my shoes, so what? Find something that you do like.
That's good advice. Find something that you do like. There's got to
Yeah,
be something there that you do like. Let's talk
yeah,
about those positives instead of the negatives all the
yeah.
time. I thought it was kind of interesting, when I think back about, your answer about the dinner table, you talked about the eyes. You talked about, eye magic, the power of a glance. Why do you believe that your glance with your eyes, why is that such a powerful tool?
I had an NFL retired football player in my law class,
Mhm.
special ed law. And I was interested in what he had to say. So I was listening, and the whole class was listening. And I picked my eyes up from the podium and I looked him straight in the eye and I said, "Tell me more." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. What did I say?" And I said, "No, no, it's what you haven't said yet. Come on, tell us more." And then I asked the whole class, I said, "Guys, what did I do that made him feel uncomfortable?" They couldn't figure it out. And then I told them. I looked at him. So
Mm.
when you really want to make an impact, you look them straight in the eye. And you don't have to get mad. That is the cool part. You can put a person down by looking them in the eye at the right time and not even be angry. Then you lower your eyes and then you go on to something else.
Mm. Wow. Pretty powerful stuff. You don't realize just how much you can do with just the power of a glance, one way or the other. I also saw that you believe that ask, don't tell promotes self-confidence and leadership. What
Yeah.
did you mean by that?
Yeah, especially with our parents. Sorry about this, guys, but you'll say, "Yeah, I had this horrible professor. He was really getting on my nerves." And then what happens? They cut in. Yeah, you gotta get good grades, son, daughter, whatever, and and we don't let people talk. So if you set a standard, let's say you were talking to me about fraternities and sororities,
Mhm.
how do we get everybody to coalesce? Make your rules in conjunction with each other. So speak so that everyone is in the room. Once the rules are beginning to be made, let people discuss whether it's a good idea or not. And then what are the repercussions? Come up with the repercussions that everybody's going to know. Once that is done, and let's say somebody has a girl up in the room and they weren't supposed to, yeah, you just walk up and you go, "Hey, what's our rule on girls in our rooms?" And oh, yeah, yeah, thanks. That's it. That's it. You don't get on his back anymore. It's done. He will have respect when he knows that he's been respected. And the other is ask, don't tell is talk about what what did you do? What could you have improved? As they start hearing about their attributes, let's say you're playing football and you did a really good job. What do you say? Good job. But good job doing what?
Mhm.
Good job defending that goal. Good job helping that quarterback. When you know that, what does that guy hear? He hears your words. "I am a great defender. I am a really good guy that helps the quarterback." So when he goes in for a job or he goes in for a new position, what can he say? "These are all the attributes about me because my friends have helped me find my self-awareness."
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's really smart. I think all of the listeners can use that in their fraternity or sorority as well. You need to reward all the people that are on your team. And sometimes that reward, it's not financial or anything specific. It's just saying, hey, you did a good job with X, Y, and Z, and be
yes,
very specific on what they did in order to excel. Don't just say you did a great job, to Dr. Olvera's point. Say specifically, you brought in more new members to our fraternity this semester than has ever been done in the last 10 years. And, and I just want to appreciate you for going the extra mile because now look at this new member class that we have. I feel really confident about our future on this campus now that we have all these great new members. So something like that really talks about this specific person and what about their skills and abilities that really stand out amongst the crowd. And that's very empowering for that person, as well as the entire chapter who just listened to this, that you just promoted this person in the front of the room at our chapter meeting, because now they know what excellence looks like, and they're all going to strive to get that same recognition in front of the group. Sometimes it's just recognition is all they're looking for. They don't need any money or any physical item. It's just recognition by their peers. That's
Right.
it. It's so simple. And you don't even have to even print out a certificate. It's just saying, hey, you did a good job and this is how you did it. So
People
really does
become
good.
our words,
Yeah.
believe it or not. I'm going to just give you a flip on
Yeah.
this one. I had this kid whose mother kept telling him he was born bad.
Mm.
And summer break came, didn't come back the next term. And I said, where did this guy go? He's in jail.
Ugh.
Took a woman into the desert, killed her, and now he's in jail. He was born bad. That's what his mother said. He became her words.
Mhm.
And when you flip it around, like, everybody likes you. Now you're like a nice guy. You
Mhm.
have a nice smile. You're really kind with people. Guess what? 40 years later, I had another student, the same thing happened. He has like
Mhm.
the most people on Instagram. He's like, everywhere he goes, everybody loves him. I'm like, how'd you do it? He's like, I don't know. Everybody tells me I'm nice, so I guess I'm nice.
Mhm. Yep, no question about it. People will absolutely remember the way that you made them feel,
Yeah.
and that is, with your words many times. Yeah, you can use that really powerfully. And listen, I mean, there is times when we also need to be critical, right? There, as a leader, there are times when we have to try to correct behavior. But the key is don't do that in front of the team. When you're critical, that's when you want to bring them aside and have a conversation with them one-on-one and say, hey, this is what we're trying to correct. And I think that, we can get there together. But you would do that one-on-one in private versus that praise that you want to give and that recognition that you would do in front of everybody. So you got to be really understanding of knowing those two different situations and how you're supposed to talk about that. Praise in public, criticize, you're going to do that in private. But again, having that conversation and bringing it to somebody's attention, they might not even be aware that they're doing something that is negative in any way. So you want to bring that to their attention in private. But
But you still have to stop them in the middle of their outburst.
right.
And so you can look them in a kind way, look them straight in the eye and say, I respect your desire to communicate your issues and believe me, I want to hear them. But do you mind if we do it later on after we're done with our meeting?
Mhm.
And I'll give you the time that you need. That is what leadership is all about. So once you start to have self-confidence because you are becoming self-aware, you start using it with other people, what that person would have, what probably the leader would have done. Now people look at you as a leader. So when you go in to apply for a job, this is one of the things that business is saying to the universities. You are producing people that have no self-awareness. And how are we going to get it? Well, if we didn't get it at home because our parents would say, stop that, and then they'd get mad at you, and that was it. But now between fraternities and sororities, you can start giving each other the words of self-awareness.
Mm.
Self-awareness then produces self-sufficiency, which then produces leadership. Now you're ready for the workforce.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we're really training you in college to be ready for the workforce. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what we're doing here on a smaller scale. So that way you can test your leadership skills and how all of that plays out. Well, let's talk more about that in terms of leadership. I think one of the most difficult parts about being a fraternity president, as I served, a sorority president, as others have served, everybody kind of wants to go off in their own directions. Everybody has their own agenda, and it's very difficult to
Yeah.
get 60 or 70 men or women to all agree on the same direction, right? Very difficult because everyone has their own agenda. But you know how to get children to cooperate. cooperate? I mean, you've done this over and over in terms of your career. So what can the student leaders learn to help them get their organizations to all cooperate and then go along with that leader?
Mhm. Well, it has to be, first of all, a really open conversation. And that's the next step. You know, just throughout the weeks going up to it, verbally massage your comments to each other. You know, I'm thinking of presenting this. I want your thoughts on it. You know,
Mm,
just briefly, I got to go to class. And so now you know what each one is kind of what is their top issues? What are their top issues? When you go in, you now have an agenda. And if you are the leader or you want to be the leader, you say, you know, I've been talking to every one of you guys from all these different groups, and these are the top things that each one is telling me. So do you mind if we start with these? And then the way you speak, the way you look at each other, and the opportunity to say, if you don't mind, or may we table this until we get to the next one? Because I think that next question that we're going to ask is going to help you understand where we're coming from.
mhm.
So and you look like a powerful leader when you're doing that because you're organized.
Yeah, that's really smart. I completely agree. You know, if you have some big decision or some big initiative that you want to implement in your organization, it starts with those one-on-one conversations with those influential people in your organization to get their feedback early, and then incorporate that. But I think that way you're going to overcome any obstacles even before you introduce that. And now you have some champions that will back you up when you do bring that out for the entire organization because you've already spoken to them. You've already had that discussion. You've already essentially diffused any landmines that are out there. But it starts by having those early conversations one-on-one to make sure you know the lay of the land even before you introduce it, and get those early champions that are going to back you up when the time is right. So, really good stuff. Listening is very important, and we've talked a little bit about that, being able to let people just go and actually listen instead of immediately coming in and giving your advice. But that can be really difficult because so many people that I know are so busy thinking about what they want to say next instead of actively listening. So, how do you truly listen to somebody before passing judgment on them?
That's something you learn as a diplomat and a spy
Mm,
because there are hidden words, there are hidden agendas, there are consequences to me coming forth with a very quick reply that later on becomes covert information. So when you are a good listener, you are picking up on cue words, you're picking up on behavior, eye patterns, body language, all of these issues that they may not be words, but they become your power. But when you have your eyes down and you're thinking about your stuff and you're thinking about an email you wanted to write to a girl or a guy that you know you should have said like before you came to talk to them, you're not there. But when you are there, your conversations will take less time, they'll be more powerful, and you'll get your words and your ideas across in a dynamic way, and nobody knows what you're doing but you.
This has been really helpful. I love all of this communication. I think it's great. The book, of course, is Ask, Don't Tell: Six Easy Steps to Improving Communication, Self-Control, and Interpersonal Relationships. And of course, we can't wait for the next upcoming book, The Power of Connection: Understanding Individual Differences to Uplift and Empower. Just really, really good stuff. Now, you know, my weakness is really good food. I love good food, and I'm wondering, what is your favorite place to eat out in the Sacramento area?
Well, I'm not in California anymore, I'm in Colorado.
Ah, you moved on me to Colorado. Ah,
Yes, yes. But you know, Lodi is a great wine area,
yeah,
but they also have great food.
yeah,
And it's a little bit cheaper than Napa.
yeah.
And I don't know, it's fun. It's just a really nice, fun, relaxed area to go to.
Yeah, I've never been to Lodi. I need to go and check that out. That's actually a really good suggestion because I have spent a lot of time in Napa Valley, and I mean, my wife and I, we absolutely love it. The wine is phenomenal, but you better bring, a lot of money with you because you're gonna drop a lot of money in Napa Valley. I promise you that. We had the time of our lives, but yeah, we were definitely a little bit poorer when we went. So maybe Lodi is gonna be the next place that we check
Well,
out.
Lodi was actually the original Napa.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah, and all the old vines, which actually supposedly have the best, produce the best grapes,
Yeah.
are in Lodi.
Wow. All right. I'm
Yeah,
going to go check that out and I'll let you know what I think. That's a
yeah,
really
really.
good recommendation.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I will be out in Denver, this summer too. So
Good.
nothing
Well,
against Colorado.
yes, let me know. Yeah, definitely. We'll find a
Nothing
good
against.
restaurant.
Yeah, there's plenty of good restaurants in Denver too. That's also
Yeah.
a great city. So really fun. All right. So if our college students, if they want to buy your books, if they want to connect with you, where should they go to get all the stuff?
Well, my website is Dr. Dianne Olvera, DianneOlvera, drdianeolvera.com. That's my website, and I will be offering some free downloads. Some of the things that I sent you, and then I have some other material also. So you can go on, try out the downloads and see if you like it, and then the book will be on Amazon.
Perfect. Go and check out the website. It's drdianeolvera.com, and she spells her name DianneOlvera.com. Go and check that out, and you can go and pick up all the books over there. But this has been really, really great. I know communication is something that is so critical for students while they're in college and certainly out in the workforce. So all of this stuff that we're talking about in terms of improving communication, in terms of the power of connection, these are critical, critical skills that you need in order to be
Oh,
successful. So thank you, Dr. Olvera, for
absolutely.
sharing all this great information with us today.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Well,
For
good.
you
I'm happy
guys
for
out
that.
there, there is a wonderful world out there. Once you get out, you're going to love it. We are
Absolutely. Good things
leaders.
ahead. All right. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Olvera, I want you to like it and I want you to share it with other college students that also need to improve their communication skills, their relationships, and the power of connection. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.